Okay, no complications on this side, it looks like. So, welcome once again to D&D in Hindsight. This week we will be looking at Weapons of Legacy. I'm Vincent.
I'm the Krampus.
I'm Shiv.
I'm Hunter Green.
And I'm Vincent. If that intro seemed short, it was.
Audio check is good.
Cool. Alright. So, magic items are very much a staple feature of 3.5, by which I mean the combat math just doesn't plain work without it, though also as another type of Lego brick to add to the silliness that is character building, but this does take a lot away from the mystique and uniqueness of magic items when everyone and their uncle is wearing a Cloak of Resistance and the various armor bonus items, as well as wielding a +1 Plot Bane, Holy Great Sword. So this book is an attempt to make more unique and interesting magic items that play into the history and flavor of the world and give you side quests or something like that. Let's see. But yeah, this book is all about items of legacy, in spite the title. Magic items that have backstories and level up in power with your characters, which sounds neat as a basic concept. Ominous pause. So anyways, let's get started. Yeah. So yeah, their starting chapter, it's all about the basic concepts of items of legacy. The actual subject of this book, in slight contrast to the title, as Weapons of Legacy sounds better on a cover, though I would have just gone with, I don't know, Armory of Legacy or something. Order of Legacy, Halls of Legacy, Kitchen
Year of
Cover
Legacy.
Thrift Store of Legacy.
Legacy Dungeon.
Yeah, this needs more workshopping. Anyways. Yeah.
Legacy of
This
Legacies.
bit or the book?
Probably both. Definitely both. So, AAK starts off with the whys and hows from a world/character background building perspective, depending on whether you're the DM or player wanting to use an item of legacy, and how to introduce item of legacy, which at first glance just appears to be a normal magic item, so a DM will need to give their players its subtle hints and clues that this item is greater than it seems. May I suggest you use the subtle language of, "This is an item of legacy, you know what to do right," followed by an intense stare and possibly placing a gun on the tail for emphasis. Disclaimer, don't actually do this.
And then, for the DM, you also create a prestige class about items of legacy.
There actually is one.
Yeah, but it doesn't count. You have to, as a DM, you're supposed to make these yourself.
Yes, but also, no.
I think that was the appropriate response, yes.
I'm gonna let you take the easy way out.
So I guess once an item of legacy is found, a history check is needed to discover its legacy ritual, which will allow you to do something silly and flush some cash down toilet in order to unlock its least powers, with more of the same checks and rituals required for the lesser and greater powers. And this rest of the chapter goes over the corner cases like renouncing or breaking legacy items. This part. Yeah, various fluff suggestions, not the most interesting of chapters, but you have to start somewhere. Yeah, and this chapter, which starts to go over all the character options that revolve around items of legacy, which don't make much sense at the moment, so we're going to jump ahead a bit to fully explain the baubles of legacy. So the book comes with this many legacy stuff, as you can see. They have a base cost for the magic item. This is a rough description. Some of them have more powers than this sounds like in the description, but or various other little trinkety effects. And yeah, moving on to our example item, the Bloodcryer's Hammer. And as you can see for this item, they all have pages, have a few pages describing in words levels of detail the history of the weapon, followed by the DCs, and the rituals, followed by the GP cost. It also has this table of advantage. Huh?
Was Monkey Grip originally from this book?
I don't remember seeing it beforehand, and we've been going in order. So if the only place other than here, yeah, it may well have been. Yeah, because I would have put Monkey Grip on a slide, because Monkey Grip was actually a interesting one. Yeah, they specifically put it for the Bloodcryer's hammer because it is actually a large hammer.
Is a large weapon. It makes
Yeah.
sense. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, the rituals DCs basically, or here's the history of DCs, and then here's the various things for the rituals. So like the first one here is Tribal Earth. You must defeat a creature with the Earth subtype in personal combat. Creature's challenge range must be equal to or greater than your character level. Also pay this much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monet.
I defeated this Earth Elemental. Now give me cash.
Let's see. But yeah, table of advancement here. As you go up in character level, the legacy item gets more powerful, assuming you've unlocked the appropriate legacy ritual for its least, lesser, and greater powers, which are a collection of spell-like and supernatural abilities. On that table are also penalties you take as a cost for having the audacity to engage in the system. Possible penalties include attack, non-cumulative, skill checks, non-cumulative, saves, non-cumulative, caster level, non-cumulative, and reversible with practice spellcaster feat technically. Manifestor level, non-cumulative, not reversible as the publishing of this book, but is reversible later. Hit point loss, which is cumulative. That's why I'm specifying this. Skill point loss, which is cumulative. Spell slot loss, which is thankfully not cumulative. Power point loss, which is cumulative. Okay. You don't have to actually pay if you haven't unlocked the ritual for lesser or greater. You don't actually have to pay the penalties for lesser or greater, but you also don't get the powers for lesser or greater yet. Once you do one of those rituals, it will basically catch up to wherever level you're at. Let's see. Also over here is the prerequisites for the item, which are usually pretty modest, and the descriptors of the abilities. Let's see. So I have several rants here. First and foremost, you note how I've mentioned least, lesser, and greater powers?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, can you tell me which powers are least, lesser, or greater by looking at this item?
I'm guessing the +2 Warhammer, +3, +4, those are lesser.
No.
I'm stumped.
Good, because I was too. Then I dug through this book more.
Did you read the section where it defines that?
I tried to find that section. That section doesn't actually fucking exist. There is nowhere in this book that explicitly states which powers are least, lesser, or greater. The best you can get is implications from the feats and the next chapter on grading legacy items. After as much effort as this book was worth, I can state that least levels are basically 5 to 10, lesser levels are 11 to 16, greater is 17 to 20. Probably. I have actually tried to find anywhere in this book where it explicitly states it. It just plain fucking doesn't. So other things here. So one of the bigger problems with this item in 3.5, there's not really much of a reason, especially earlier on, for your bonuses on your items to go above +1, as generally all the extra properties are going to just result in more damage. The trade-off for accuracy is generally worth it when you're playing wholly on a weapon, which is a +2 property for 2d6 extra damage on like 80% of what you're going to be hitting with it. That's generally going to be worth it more over the +2 to attack and damage. So they're not the best built in the world when it comes to that. In Pathfinder, that equation changes because higher enchantment bonuses let you overcome damage reduction, but for 3.5, that's not it doesn't really work out that well. That's not a specific problem with the Bloodcryer's hammer either. All weapons are basically built with much more of an emphasis on the enhancement bonus, and that's partially because of how the items are kind of built within their own system. Finally, and also the people building this weren't exactly looking 100% at what the most optimal way of building anything was. These were very much top-down designs when it comes to flavor. And finally, the DCs for the saves on all the spell-like abilities here is the normal magic item save DCs, which is 10 plus spell level plus the minimum bonus for the stat required to cast a spell. So, for example, Fireball is a third level spell, so it would require a wizard to have a 13 int to cast, so the DC would be 10 plus 3 for the level of the spell, plus 1 because they need for a 13 int. But with these items, you can actually use your charisma instead of the normal modifier in this equation, which will matter to, like, not most of the characters that are being built in the game unless they're specifically charisma characters. Which is basically paladins and sorcerers, and that's about it, usually. So anyways, back to the feats. So as a note, you can never actually take least, lesser, and greater legacy feats. They come for free with the rituals. The reason it's done that way is, as best I can tell, is just because how the polymorph rules work. At least that's my guess on it. Don't quote me on that. Trying to figure out polymorph rules is kind of a pain. On the actual feats themselves, so Channel Legacy will be it may actually be good if you're creating your own legacy weapon, or for some of the other legacy weapons, as it lets you take one of the spell-like abilities and as an immediate action just say, screw that, instead of that I'm just going to take this as a bonus to my attack and my attack rolls, damage rolls, and saves and checks. Or sorry, attack rolls, saves, and checks. D20 rolls, basically, for an entire round. But yeah, more on that later, actually. Other stuff that's here. Let's see. Curative Legacy could also be interesting if you have enough uses on one of the legacy powers. There's an Empower Legacy, there's a Master Legacy. Technically, there's a Legacy focus for +1 DC. Will almost probably never come up. Or sorry, there's a Quicken. The Quicken might actually be worth it, depending on what property it has. Master is way more limited than it needs to be. For, let's see, once per day as a free action, you can basically add 1 level to what you get from this thing. Like, this doesn't need to be an activated ability. Yeah. Let's see. There are spells and powers in here. They all basically suck, but they're there. They renew abilities or sever or suppress legacy in the very unlikely event that you're ever going to give a flying fuck about that. And let's see. On to the prestige class of this book, the Legacy Champion, which has the unique feature of +1 existing class level. Not just casting level, this is the entire class level features. Wow. So you get everything but the base attacks, skill points, saves, and hit dice from your class, basically, as you advance in this class, except at levels 1 and 7. In addition to the class features you get from this class, which are free lesser and greater ritual, so some free money, I guess. Plus class level to the history check for your legacy item, which is practically a non-feature, but let's continue. Swap legacy abilities, which might be good, depending on what legacy item you have. Extra legacy ability uses. 2 bonus legacy feats. There aren't very many legacy feats to choose, but the Quicken is not bad, I guess. This class may be usable, it may suck. This depends greatly on what you can extract from the items of legacy, basically. Okay, now back to this chapter, where we'll glance through here for the crap I at least found interesting in the pre-built items of legacy. Starting with this ring. That might almost not suck, actually. Partially because over the entire course of this one, it's -1 save, -1 skill check, you lose caster level. You basically lose the highest level. These are non-cumulative, so you only lose the highest spell slot listed, and at level 6, you lose a level 1 spell slot, who cares? 8 is a 2, 10 is a 3, etc. Those are kind of lagging behind on your spell slots. The question is whether or not it's actually worth the spell-like abilities it's giving you, and the couple of passive powers. I can guarantee you Starbright isn't worth crap. Hooray, low light vision. Oh yeah, also interesting somewhat for these items is there's adventure seeds at the back end, so it's basically like, if you want to drop this into a campaign, I don't know, here's a idea of how to, sort of thing. Let's see. And here's these gauntlets that amuse me. They aren't good, but I'll give them points for flavor here. Mostly Power of One is a good example of one of the almost redeeming things that can be on these things. Yeah, so items of Legacy can actually have like enhancement bonus to various stat scores, just kind of replacing an enhancement item, which can, I guess, save you a slot. However, they kind of screw it up when it comes to building them. That's a different matter entirely. Oh yeah, also as an aside, a way of helping Monk, which doesn't actually work by the rules, but if you were actually trying to make, I don't know, trying a lot to make Monk work, is to actually give them proficiency with gauntlets, because they don't actually have that, and pretend that the gauntlets count as unarmed strikes, because they count as unarmed attacks, but they don't count as unarmed strikes, so they don't actually work with a Monk normally, and just let them enchant this like it's a normal fucking weapon.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. Let's see. Calibre here. One thing I actually liked here was Unstoppable Cleave. It's way too high level, but it basically lets you use your Cleave Feat, or Great Cleave Feat in this case, in order to make an extra attack against an eligible target without actually having to drop the previous target to 0 HP. Which is kind of interesting. I wish it appeared more in this edition. And then there's a Scythe, which has one actual power other than just becoming a higher enhancement bonus. Soul Servant, which everyone you kill becomes an unseen servant. All of them. Period. And until your character dies, you could literally just have a small
an army of unseen servants.
Yeah.
Not that they could do anything worth a damn.
And where those unseen servants take damage, they disappear for 1 round and then come right back. Let's see. Divine Spark, which also some of the legacy items they didn't actually make go higher than, like, in this case, lesser. This is the other way you can kind of work out what least and lesser are, is some of the items only go to lesser. I don't think I saw anything that only goes to least, but some of them only go to lesser. Infiltrator, here's an armor of Sneaky, and it's almost decent, because it starts out as a mithril shirt, which is something you tend to... something that actually tends to see use anyways, but it, like, caps itself at this +3 chain shirt, though it actually has a decent amount of, like, competence bonus on spot checks, which increases chain shape, bonus on search checks, etc. Climb speed, dark, yeah. Decent amount of tricky little effects that would be worth it if it wasn't also taking up your armor slot. And here's an actual Shield of Legacy. That helps with writing things because, okay, sure, why not, I guess. And the Sling of Direwwind is one that actually almost doesn't suck, and I actually kind of like in general. Mostly because of this Pebble to Boulder ability, which amuses the shit out of me. It effectively increases the size of the ammo.
Just to confirm that I've also looked through this dumb book.
Yes.
I can 100% confirm and agree with you. But yeah, no, it doesn't actually clearly define what each of the legacies is in any way, shape, or form. And as I said, pretty much the only way to get it to suss out what it is 5 through 10 is least, 11 through 16 is lesser, and 17 through 20 is major, whatever it is.
Wait, it's really just that?
Oh my god, based entirely on the making your own legacy items.
Yeah.
That is so dumb.
Yeah, it is.
Technically, there's also Epic Legacy, but god, Epic.
Yeah, no.
Ignore that part for a second. But it's lazy.
I wouldn't even mind that part if it stated it up front. It just makes it such a pain in the ass to try and figure it out.
Yeah, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, in the very first section when you're talking, when it's basically describing the basics of legacy items.
Yeah.
To just outright state, abilities 5 through 10 are least abilities. Abilities 11 through 16 are lesser abilities. And abilities level 17 through 20 or greater abilities. Or if they didn't want them to be fixed to that particular degree, state what each one is in the description of the item.
Yeah. But yeah, back to this thing. Both the literally the sling ammo increases in size. This actually can make a fairly decent weapon after a while, because like here's your 8th level sling that outright does 2d6 damage on each hit, which is not actually bad. Although it's a high level, it is of note. You can also do a wind wall around yourself, which doesn't affect you.
Cute.
Yeah. Nice. So it's like this one was actually cute, especially especially since it has giant bane, which. Okay, in a campaign where you are specifically fighting giants, it just makes this plain good.
Yeah.
The penalties also only to will saves. You only find those on the unique magic items. None of the ones you create can do only one save. The attack penalty is a little bit of a pain. The hit points are negligible.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not taking this if you're not a marshal, so who cares? You're going to have high hit dice anyways, and losing 3 attack is mildly annoying, but getting 3d6 or 4d6 range attacks base out of it is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, this was easily the most usable actual weapon in the Weapons of Legacy book.
Yep.
And if I was to start trying to create a weapon myself, this would still be the most usable weapon in the Weapons of Legacy book, which should tell you how damning that is. But we'll get to that about right now. Yeah, so this is the chapter about making Legacy items. Starting with all the basic stuff, the fluff of it, and a couple of sidebars, including Behind the Curtain, which confounds me, as the designer thought someone could produce something broken with this book, considering they failed to make anything even as interesting as a normal magic item, with maybe the exception of that sling. Also for having the hubris of making your own legacy item, you have to pay XP as well as the money, because screw you for trying to make lemonade out of the lemons in this book. And here's the various penalty tables for you to pick from, which, okay, seriously, the penalties don't need to exist. I'm just gonna stop right now. It's like, that part is just, why?
It's the same reason why they gave level adjustments to some races.
I picked up this magical sword, and now I'm physically weaker for doing so.
You picked up the Sword of Dramatic Irony. A wonderful choice, sir. For everyone else, not for you.
Also, as you can see, these tables are balanced by costing very slightly more or less, with I'm not even sure any rhyme or reason as to which ones cost more or less, as, okay, this is easily one of the best tables. Over here, as long as you're a manifester. If you're not a manifester, like, this is a good, yeah, this is a really good table, because it's like -1 penalty on this, some spell walls.
Now, hold on. For these tables, do the tables determine what abilities you can give items?
No.
Okay, so there's no reason not to take the manifester table for your item, no matter what, if you're making your own. Short of your DM slapping you and telling you no.
You do have to actually be able to pay for that level's stuff in order to get it to that level or further. So you actually do have to be able to lose manifester level and power points.
Oh, okay.
So they did think of that. Okay, so if anything in this book is getting used, is there's going to be a lot of concession and house rolling, because the next section is probably the most interesting part of the book, which is the actual menus for legacy items. So how this works is for the least levels, you get one menu A option per level, which can be, instead, you can skip a level to get a menu B option, or you can skip 2 to get a menu C option. 5 through 10 are the least levels, so you basically get 6 options in least. It's the same idea with lesser and greater as well, so you get you're going to get 6 least options, 6 lesser options, and 4 greater options.
4 greater options.
Yeah. So, and one of the biggest ironies of this table is exactly how bad this entire system is at actually making weapons and armor, because of how the enhancement bonuses kind of work. So the item's going to be a +1 to begin with. It's not supposed to be anything above a +1, but it's going to be a +1 to begin with. So off of menu A, if you're only eating up one choice, you can get your armor to a maximum of +2. Skipping ahead for a bit, for armor, you can get a +3 for another 2 choices. And let's see. Oh yeah, your weapon can go to a +1, which it should probably already be before you started here for the menu A choice. Menu B choice can get it to a +2. And menu C choice cannot. You can get no higher than a +2 enhancement bonus on your weapon up through level 10 if it's a weapon of legacy.
Right.
Furthermore, you're eating up two of your abilities in order to get that +1 enhancement bonus. And the abilities aren't actually bad is the odd part, as there's some decent amount of choices here. Like, here's straight up supernatural, you comprehend all languages, just innately. Cure is actually reasonable, it's 3 times per day.
Go to the B table again real quick.
Yeah.
So the weapon enhancement thing can be done to put special abilities on the weapon.
It can. Yeah, so you could have a +1 Bane.
Yeah. But if you go back to Table A has weapon enhancement on it to increase your enhancement level by 1. Oh no, gains an enhancement bonus of 1? Don't you have to have an enhancement bonus of 1 to begin with?
You don't have to, but that's the highest you can build it. You could technically have it be a masterwork weapon that's a weapon of legacy.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they had to be +1 weapons to begin with.
Yeah.
No, he's saying they probably should.
They should be. Since you're building your own one in the first place, you're almost certainly going to build this off of a +1 weapon because you eat up a menu choice. Yeah. But yeah, I probably should have clarified it can be a masterwork weapon. It can also just be a pair of boots or a fucking ring, which is actually what I recommend with this system, is the biggest irony of it. Because your wealth by level, if you are just buying a weapon and or armor,
will outstrip what you get from this.
It will easily outstrip what you get from this. The most interesting stuff you get from this are actually the everything that isn't the enhancement bonuses or the whatever weapon properties you can put on stuff or armor properties. Especially if you're trying to get stuff that is a bonus above a +1, because you can't actually save these bonuses up. So you're going to have to actually wait till higher level tables in order to get more than a +1 from a menu choice, and at that they are limited based on. So if we look at the weapon one here, this only still does +1s. I think we have to go. So here, once you get into lesser ones, so this would be a minimum of level 13 is the first time you could actually put a +2 equivalent enhancement bonus on your weapon. That's only if you haven't already made it above a +1 weapon. Yeah, these are really bad at building weapons and armor, basically. Now, the redemptive part of this is there is quite a few of these menu choices that are actually good, which is why I put all these X's here just for even ones that are interesting. Because, like, enlarged person is solid through the entire life of your character, especially if you're not a caster. Automatic featherfall, in case the DM likes to throw you up in the air. Invisibility is never bad. All these are caster level fit, by the way, so they are a little bit better than you would normally get from a magic item, which would have minimum caster level otherwise. Lock, magic missiles. Magic missiles are never bad to have because sometimes, I don't know, your entire party likes to leave every enemy it hits at 1 hit point. The meta magic and meta psionic ones are actually nice in the sense that it's basically rods a semi-versatile rod of meta magic, and by semi-versatile I mean you're probably using a larger extent. The meta psionic one is actually a lot better because rods of meta psionics do not exist, and split psionic ray is your ray spell straight up just hits
Just
an extra
has an
target.
extra shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Furthermore, psionics cheats a lot when it comes to this because a third level power can be augmented into the sky and be just as powerful as like a 6th or 8th level power for all it matters. Also, you can just turn it into a mount, which is funny as shit. The item just literally turns into a mount for which is not actually bad if you're traveling around.
So it's not only a broom, it's a horse.
Yes, your broom can be a horse.
Well, to be honest, I'm surprised.
Let's see. Yeah. On command, see invisibility, etc., etc. Here's a bunch of cantrips that are free and at will. Note this is 3-5, so cantrip you have only a limited number of cantrips you can cast in a day if you're a caster. So at will cantrips aren't bad, especially since one of these is mage hand. Here's an unseen servant because I actually like unseen servant in this book. I don't know. And here's a trap option. So for 2 of your choices, you can get this ability enhancement +2. At later levels, ability enhancement, so for 2 lesser choices, you get ability enhancement +4 with no prerequisites whatsoever, so you don't actually have to have done the +2 one. And then the final one is the same way, except I believe it is just, it is a single greater choice to just get ability enhancement +6, and again, you don't have to have either of the previous ones. You are just wasting choices to get the previous ability enhancements.
It's only a trap option if you're immediately starting with the level 17 plus version.
Yeah.
If you are actually building this up for several levels,
or if you're making this for a character that is a fixed level for a fixed campaign, they can be okay too. But it is a weird, because you never get those back, so you're just kind of wasting 2 slots of least or lesser, which is kind of a pain. And that's actually what the bigger pain when it comes to like menu B and C is. It has to be worth like the 2 worst things on menu A, basically.
Yeah.
Which there were a couple of them, like Obscuring Mists wasn't too bad because swift action to basically give yourself concealment. Enhancement bonus of 10 feet isn't bad either. Doesn't sack with the other one because it's enhancement bonus, but still, you can immediately pick one or the other. Power lesser, which is just plain good for basically the same reason that the split ray one is. Free meta magic, but in general, free meta magic with psionic powers is just plain good, or meta psionics, but you get the point. At will levitate, constant spider climb. Those are pretty solid. These cost 3 choices, but still, those are just good. Then we get into the lesser ones, which again are back to the singular choice things. Let's see, continue gust. This one's more amusing, or continual one's more amusing just because of the actual like side effect here. While you're hiding arena wielding it, light gusts of wind constantly stream from you, billowing your cloak or hair. Also can technically gust of wind.
Yes.
I look fabulous.
Items, the power of aura.
Yep. Let's see. Here's literally just uncanny dodge as magic item ability. I don't remember there being anything that does that. It might exist, but I don't know. Good old-fashioned haste. Haste is never bad. Swift action 5 times per day, too. Knock on command to make the rogue cry. Now, you have to be level 11 before you can start making the rogue cry here. But
the earlier level that had lock also has knock.
It does, but that's only a one. But that one's a limited number. I think it is only once per day. Yes, it is only once per day.
Yeah, I only need to make the rogue cry once per day. And I'm going to make the rogue cry more than once per day anyways.
That's probably true.
This is what it sounds like when rogues cry.
The better meta magic ones. Shocking Legacy, which is almost the stuff I'd like to see to make weapons work, because here is at least a 5 times per day standard action. You enhance the weapon and or your punch to do 5d6 electricity. That's arguable whether a monk wearing a ring of legacy could use this to just enhance his fist for 5d6 extra electric when you punch someone with it. Not explicitly stated on the ability, but I'd probably say, yeah, that's fine. You technically deliver touch attacks with punches, so it would work now that I think about it. Yeah, because melee touch would do it.
Yep.
Probably. Yeah. We'll say that's good. It works. Let's see. Slippery barrier, where this one just amuses me, especially as an at-will ability. It's swift action. The squares around me are grease.
I mean, you don't need to worry about weird touch stuff with Shocking Legacy. It just does that damage on the successful hit.
Yeah, I was just thinking of it as an item, not actually a weapon.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no requirement that you have to use it for the attack. It's just this item deals an extra 5 to 6 points of damage on a successful hit.
Yeah.
Doesn't say you have to use the item for that.
That's true. Yeah.
If it is a melee weapon, you have to use it for the attack. If it's a ranged weapon, it bestows it on its ammunition. It doesn't say how it works if it's not a melee weapon or a ranged weapon.
Yeah. Now, granted, you're only really activating this before combat, and
yeah, you take a standard action to activate. So
yeah, so that's almost never going to be worth it. And here's just a 5 times per day web. There was technically in menu A web as well. I remember, or no, is it? No, it's menu B, which is more questionable. Just because, yeah, but does you have like 2 choices, so that's more on the questionable side. Whereas this is a single choice for 5 uses. And web is always a tar pit, regardless of level. The DC doesn't really matter anywhere near as much as you'd think. Menu E options. Hey, do you just want to be a fucking necromancer? Because here's Animate Dead as a supernatural ability, which also means you just don't pay anything. Animate Dead actually has a somewhat costly component, so this would be free, technically. This is also level 12, where the cost of that component isn't really a big deal, but still. Let's see, it was... Yeah, and you're cast level 11 for this as well. So that's actually a decent amount of undead.
I mean, you control 10.
Huh? No, this is a... No, this is... It animates a single skeleton or zombie of up to 10 hit dice.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. As with the Animate Dead spell, so it will follow the rules for Animate Dead for controlling them. Also, straight up has invisibility at will, which is just plain good for... This is costing you a couple choices, but still. Maximize power lesser, which is there's no mana magic rods. Again, there's no mana psionic rods, period. And B, the reason why I exit that one and not maximize spell lesser is like it's probably not worth it for a spellcaster at this level because they can easily afford the rod, and there's a couple choices comparatively. Also, at this point, level 3 spells are not really what you're attacking with. Level 3 powers, on the other hand, you are absolutely still attacking with a good portion of the time. Let's see. Also, just constancy invisibility, plus 10 to skills, which is about as good as you get with any magic item. Those aren't bad for 2 choices. The 3 lesser choices are where you start running into some issues, although once per day, straight up, here's a free casting of contingency is good. Also on this is evasion, poison immunity, which isn't really worth it unless your DM really loves poison. Once per day true seeing, which is more campaign specific in what you're actually seeing as enemies, but sometimes true seeing is just the solution to a lot of problems. And X-ray vision, which is at least cute. Let's see. As far as menu Gs are concerned, yeah, so this is where you get to level 17, and any choice beyond like the single abilities starts to get really painful because it's like you're going to be 18 or 19 before you see any of them. But like a free +6 enhancement bonus for a single choice isn't too bad. Again, Empower Power, Power Spell, these are up to 6 level as well, so those are nice. Once per day heal self. That's never bad. It's caster level 15, so that is 150 hit points straight up. In addition to gain a bunch of status conditions. That's just good on a non-caster, or someone who can't normally cast heal. Or even someone who can sometimes, but it'd probably skip it if you were actually a cleric. But a couple of times per day, greater invisibility, which will last for 15 rounds, so it'll last for an entire combat. Granted, you're level 17, so this is the point where a lot of things will be able to see invisibility, but maybe not everything. Once per day, plane shift, because it's funny. You can take you and other things, so at the very least, to get it out of combat, granted, teleport's on here as well, which is 2 times per day. Quicken power lesser, which is straight good, because Quicken is insanely expensive for us as far as meta psionic powers go. I think it's like 6, which just eats up a lot of that is the other thing about the meta psionic stuff is since this doesn't add to the cost of the meta or the psionic power, you can actually just augment it more. There's also a plus 15 skill enhancement bonus on here, which you do not see on magic items. They tend to cap out at 10. And twice per day, Wall of Force. Wall of Force is always fairly good, unless there's a bunch of flying things. Menu H options. Yeah, these are the ones that have to be fairly good to be worth it, because you're not going to get these until 18. Constant displacement, or yeah, displacement, the inactivated swift action, about 10 times per day, which is not bad. Swift action, straight up heal. Maximize spell. Not bad, but you could probably also afford a meta magic rod at this point. And the choices that you get one of, because you can only at that you would get this at 19. Still 3 times per day heal mass is just good. Meteor Swarm is funny as shit. Quicken power, quicken spell up to 6th level on both of those. The regeneration I put here simply because what? Really? I can Meteor Swarm once per day, or I can heal 1 HP per level every hour and regrow lost limbs.
Yeah, that's an equal.
Yeah.
As if wearing a ring of regeneration, or I could just get a ring of regeneration,
which I'm fairly certain is way cheaper. This is healing more than a ring of regeneration would, but it's, yeah, who cares? There's also summon monsters at every level. They're generally questionably worth it, because it's like they're generally worth it when you get them and not past that.
I can get a once per day dominate monster.
Yeah. Yeah, once per day dominate monster is not bad, especially if you're charisma character. Yeah, because at this point you actually have good DCs for, you can have good DCs for anything. These are all cast for level 20, so that does help too. And once per day time stop. And yeah. So in all, when you actually look through the menu options, there's a decent amount of choices that are interesting and great, and you will lose most or all of them if you're actually trying to create a weapon or armor. And writing this book out, optional rules. Let's see. Yeah, mutable legacy items, items that have abilities that they can switch between. If they're basically not saying you can do on the fly per se, but like I put this gem in here, or I put this red gem in here and it can do fireballs. I put this blue gem in here and it can do lightning bolts, stuff like that, basically. Let's see. Dual legacy items with 2 different legacies that you choose, one or the other, like a sword that can be either holy or unholy. I didn't put it on the slides, but there is specifically a sword that can be either holy or unholy depending on which legacy route you went down. Yeah. And let's see. Sharing a legacy. So loading out your legacy item for fun and profit. Also in here, monsters of legacy. It's a template. It's it's like they did something impressive and unlocked a template, basically. Also, turning standard magic items into items of legacy, or how to make the person playing the paladin hate you. Hey, you want this whole...
making standard magic items work.
Yes. Hey, do you want a bad weapon that eventually becomes a full-on Holy Avenger at like level 20? And you only get any of the good abilities for Holy Avenger.
Could I just have the Holy Avenger?
No, you also have to have penalties to your attacks, saving throws, and you're going to lose hit points.
Oh.
Let's see. And finally, here's the Epic Legacy rules because reasons. Okay, before I give my thoughts on this, does anyone have something to say?
I think it would be fine if you, as a DM, let your players make items of legacy, just didn't give them penalties, and said, "Don't make me slap you."
Yeah.
I think that would be like, each player gets an item of legacy. They can put whatever abilities they want in as they go up. You don't have to do some bullshit ritual because it's your item of legacy. I don't care. No, you don't take random penalties for daring to use this item I'm giving you. And just don't do something stupid that's going to make me not like you. Perfectly fine system.
Like, that sounds entirely reasonable. How dare you?
Engage in jolly cooperation.
Yep. Krampus, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, the idea is fine. Like, forging a unique weapon is like 60% of fantasy by volume, or just having a weapon with unique properties and a lineage and a story and all that.
Yeah.
But there's so many checks and balances. The numbers, Keith, the numbers. I do think it would be funny to play a campaign where a bunch of these were pre-made by a wizard who was trying to like figure out how to make legacy weapons, but he only used like random objects around his house to do it. So you're like finding a bucket that like turns you unholy or something. But as it stands as a system, all jokes aside, it's complicated and obtuse. Insert 3.5 joke here.
Okay.
Like a lot of 3.5 things, there's a okay framework and a bad execution.
Yeah. So starting off, I think I can confidently say this is the worst book we've seen so far. I think that's a fair statement. As I could find more to salvage in, and it's more than I could just straight up use in Heroes of Battle. It's like, I would run a War Weaver. I'd gladly run a War Weaver, and the other prestige classes were at least good. For, like, one thing or another. Also, I can, like... I some of the rules when it came to actually running the battle campaigns were interesting. I could, like, have, like, a battle as a major event during my campaign and just go back to doing whatever else as well. This takes me a lot... As Shiv described, you kind of have to hack this one apart and go, like, okay, here's this one thing you get from it.
Yeah.
The thing I actually see in here that is useful, ironically, the book is very bad when it comes to just weapons and armor. But the thing that is actually useful in here is the items. So, when it comes to 3.5, there is a overly nonsensical thing that me, Shiv, and a few other people who played 3.5 way too much did all the time, which was scouring the magic item sections to figure out a good magic item for every slot. Because after you're done buying all the items that are basically the math items, the your weapon, which will usually be somewhere close to half your wealth, then whatever armor you want in order to get your AC bonus up to something decent if you want to do that, or you completely ignore it. It's one or the other, depending on what type of character you're running. And whatever stat items. Past that, you're actually just looking for magic items that have interesting and useful effects on them to just have fun in combat. Which is the one thing this book actually does. If I replaced, like, everything that wasn't just the enhancement bonus in order to make the math on my character keep up with the math of the system, with all of the fun little choices in this book and not have to dive through pages and pages of random nonsense in order to try and find the one redeemable goddamn magic item that looks fun to put on my character, and instead have, hey, here's menus and menus of options that you can actually choose for the fun little like extra flavor out your character magic items that actually do things and stand out. That's the part of the system that's easily the best, because it is just a list of that stuff and a way of adjudicating what you get over the course of levels. But yeah, other
Easy
than
way
that,
to fix the whole weapon issue and weapon armor issue of the system as well. Just let the players still enchant the weapons and armor.
Yes, you just
Yep.
let the players enchant the weapons and armor like their normal weapons and armor. And you could just have these properties be just extra things on the weapons and armor. But yeah, the fact that the fact that is like, okay, this just has to be House Rule City in order to like get anything redeemable out of this book is the most damning thing about this book.
Yeah, I'd have to say my biggest strike against it is it suffers heavily from the. I'm going to use the term developers, even though it's not generally what you would support.
It's kind of
But
fair,
it's the overall term for the people who are coming up with these rules and writing these books. They have this obsession of, we want to give people power, but no, it has to have a cost. All power has to have a cost, and the cost here is just stuff that really doesn't need to be there. It's much like all the races that have a one level adjustment where it makes no sense because there's nothing overpowered about that race. The same thing applies to a lot of these things. Is they were so obsessed with the concept of quote balance unquote that they forgot that this is supposed to be fun.
You're having fun?
Oh,
I'll fix that.
I mean, I've DM'd once or twice. I had fun then.
Yeah, I had fun once. It was terrible.
But I think that this book and this system is like the perfect representation of that issue. And yes, no, because of that and the fact of, to make this thing a viable system, you have to homebrew 90% of it. Most of it just like saying, no, get rid of this because it's dumb, is a massive strike against it. And yeah, this is easily the worst book we've had.
yeah, that's
Like I've only been half paying attention because I'm doing Pokemon stuff on the side. But even I can very clearly tell the issues with this system.
I've been paying attention as much as I can to anything. Too many numbers at one time make my head hurt. Even
understandable.
That's
even
part of
with
why I
all
do
the
Pokemon on the side.
even with all of the rules and stuff and things like that, I think this is a. I don't know. I think Shiv is right. Just give this to your character, your players. Let them have fun with it, and smack them if they try and abuse power.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take the wish ability and do something stupid. No, stop it. Okay, moving on.
Even then, I think the wish ability was
Like, sure, you did something stupid, and now you're going to get the repercussions of doing something stupid. Anyways.
I just don't want to have to. You get one wish or 3 wishes with a later advanced one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 wishes at level 19. Wish was like 2 wishes at level 18 and 1 at, I think, 17.
It's a lot of effort for me to punish you for doing wishes.
Yeah.
You should know better.
Oh, no, wait. No, it's 3 lesser choices for a singular wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
When we do the next tier list, this goes straight on the very bottom.
I'm making a new slot for it, probably.
I was going to say, it's going to get its own slot even lower than Player's Handbook.
The Weapons of Legacy tier.
I might make an actual name for that one, because I'm positive there's another book that goes down there, too.
Ooh.
Depends on how many books we've gone through. Just putting it on the same tier list as that book will be just as insulting as anything else I could do, honestly.
I feel like it's the tier named, you should have just eaten your money.
But anyways. But yeah. I would say don't spend your money on this book, but realistically no one can anymore. Yeah, you can drive through RPG, I guess. Don't drive through RPG this book.
Do it
unless
out
you're
of
doing it
spite.
through, unless you're doing
Do it
it
out
through
of spite
our
instead of
affiliate,
receipts.
unless you're doing it through our affiliate link that doesn't exist yet. So wait for that.
Do it out of spite.
But yeah, that's
I encourage bad decisions.
It really does.
yeah, that's kind of true. Hey, case, that's all we have for you this week on D&D and Hindsight. Join us on Sunday for more Super Robot Wars 30, doing side stuff and things. We'll go with. Join us on Monday. Join us on Monday for
The return of Digimondays.
Yeah, the return of Digimondays with Digimon Cyber Sleuth. I forget the subtitle for the deal. Huh?
Hacker's Memory.
Hacker's Memory.
Hacker's Memory. There we go. And join us back here on Thursday for another double feature of Warhammer 40k, Demon Hunters, Chaos Gate. I might put that backwards, I forget.
Warhammer 40,000.
Big Daddy's Chaos. Big Daddy's Chaos Hunting Adventure, 2025.
Yep.
Big Daddy's not hunting chaos with us. You can't bring Big Daddy into this.
No, he's upset at us because we are doing this.
Yeah. And also more D&D in Hindsight, where we will be reviewing Stormrack, because I at least want to end on a positive note, so we can finish up the Terrain Book trilogy, as I'll be calling it. With
I'm once again reminded that Stormrack exists.
Stormrack does exist. Yeah, I keep forgetting about it too. Mostly because Frostburn and Sandstorm just were printed first.
Yep.
But yeah, hey guys. Till then, I'm Vincent.
I'm the Krampus.
I've been Shiv.
I've been under grain.
And I'm Vincent. And remember, the last choice on menu I is Hindsight's 2020. But you can't get that till level 19.